Hello everyone, my name is Zedu, but please call me Avery. It's what everyone else calls me. And we're gonna talk to this guy. I think, yeah. He was not going to buy it.
I regret meeting you under such compromising circumstances. At least we both made it back unscathed. Incidentally, would you care to learn any sorceries? You're clearly talented, and besides, I owe you. Of course, we will require some materials, but I'm happy to teach you some elementary spells. Are you interested? Splendid. Very well. I am pleased to have a chance to give something back. Well then, let's get started straight away. All right. That'll do it. That should help you on your journey. May we meet again.
So yeah, that dude over there, that's a pyromancer. We're about to talk to him. Whatever.
Well, I see you made it out. Yeah, I made it out safely too. I have my pyromancy in a great swamp, so I can use my magic with a bit of care. Oh yeah, by the way, I can share the spells with you. I think you have a knack for it. All you need are the materials. I'd be pleased to help you. Unless you find the magic's unsavory. Yeah, wonderful. I'm sure that they'll be of some use, some assistance. Here, first take this. A flame from the Great Swamp. Now you're a fully fledged pyromancer. Why, let's get started right now. Goodbye then. Come back if you find anything new.
Alright, now we can actually start talking. So these next 4 episodes, they are going to be primarily about all of the other things that can happen in this game, like say all the weird little nuances, optional areas basically, because this game is full of them. I'll just tell you now. Like, there are optional areas here, there are optional areas there, they're everywhere. It's fantastic, and there is just so much stuff you can divulge into, or you can diverge yourself into, besides the main quest. And it's just really, really fun. But anyway, those 2 guys we talked to, the guy in the black was a sorcerer, and the guy in the tan clothing was a pyromancer. Pyromancy, I don't think I've described it yet. Basically, it's magic that anyone can use, so therefore it's really, really useful for any sort of playthrough. SL1 basic. It does a lot of damage in this game, and I'm not sure Dark Souls 2 nerfed it or buffed it, but it's hard to remember. Oh no, Dark Souls 2 didn't nerf or buff it, they just made it so scales of intelligence, thus making it as this, universal thing you can use completely worthless. Good job, twats. But hey, you can still tune it, I think. Something weird about Dark Souls 2 as well is I'm pretty sure in this game everyone starts with at least 1 attunement slot. And in Dark Souls 2, everyone just starts with, someone can possibly start with 0. Which, I don't really get that. I don't understand why they would do that. That doesn't make it anything hard, you just can't cast spells. And therefore you can't cast pyromancy, so we've went the entirely wrong way. That statue is totally not important. So we're going to go upstairs a wee bit. And okay, so I think, did I already talk about these 4 parts going to be? Yeah, I did. My memory fails me once again. And yeah, in the earlier video, recorded about 2 days ago, the commentary, not the actual gameplay, I said that I would try to be doing these 15-minute parts, but the thing is, before I decided on 15 minutes per episode, I kinda went ahead and made them all in my own thing anyway, so expect more 20 minutes, but I think that's more than enough. 20 minutes, I think, is just about right. Because I think anyone can sit there about 20 minutes. Not that it really matters. I mean, I guess it does, actually. But, hey. Let's keep going. These guys, though, are dex builds that have been hardwired to kill you. And they're not very fun to fight because, as myself being a very, quality Dex-inspired build. I have to contend with someone who rolls all the time, which is a very, very strange creature in this game because not a lot of things do. Like, a lot of enemies, the AI in this game, when it comes to the humans, can be phenomenally dumb at times. They kind of just face tank stuff. It's really, really funny, but can get annoying. I don't even know what it is. It must be like a throwing knife or something. But they do have some very, they have some very interesting stuff. And if you look at the leggings, they're actually fairly inspired with the Silver Knight leggings. So it kind of installs this role of the Silver Knights in the Silver Knights of Anor Londo. Because those are very important. I think, did we already talk about the story? I'm pretty sure we already said that the Silver Knights were basically Black Knights before they got burned by the flame. As they just roll into a throwing knife like a pro. Always good, and we're trying it again. These guys are a bit, well, yeah. He's dead. That's good. You're dead. That's good, amen. But I've always had a lot of trouble finding these guys. I'm not sure if it's just because at this time it didn't really kind of meld into my brain. I should probably bait these guys out. Or what. It just... I don't know. But that's great magic weapon. That's something I wanted on one of my first playthroughs until I realized that the faith buffs, not butts. Good job, guys. You're doing it well. You're doing your job. Now they're actually doing their job. Until I realized the faith buffs for the weaponry were very, very superior. I mean it too. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you when I say that like Sunlight Blade will always trump Great Magic Weapon. And it only really becomes like on par until you get Crystal Magic Weapon. Like Sunlight Blade does so much damage, it's ridiculous. But then again, lightning in this game is such a good element. Not element, but anyway, cutscene. And Shazam! Who knew paintings were so effective in teleporting us to worlds? This is the painted world of Ariamis, and it's the only area in the game that actually has snow. We would not see another area with snow in it until Dark Souls 2 came out with that one DLC that I never played. Personally, I never played any of the DLC for Dark Souls 2 because I didn't like the base game. The base game itself was just kind of feels marred with like really silly design decisions that I just do not enjoy. Because their idea of difficulty was just to fill a room full of enemies with very little thought into where it went, you know? It's like, if I wanted enemy spawns, well, not enemy spawns, but if I wanted enemies to be placed just really willy-nilly, I'd place something that with controls that would allow for that, like a Devil May Cry or something like that. But Dark Souls is not Devil May Cry, it is its own animal. And it's the same thing falls into Hotline Miami 2, with level design not fitting the core gameplay, fundamentally making a failing game. Because I did not like Hotline Miami 2. In fact, right now, if you talk to me about it, I'd probably say Hotline Miami 2 was worse than Dark Souls 2 in my opinion. Just because Hotline Miami 2 suffers way more than Dark Souls 2 in terms of its poor level design. And I'm looking at chapters like Caught and all that crap. What it makes is just... It makes you... Again, I think I've said this already, but it makes you afraid to die in a game that's all about dying. All about dying, all about practicing, all about getting good at doing this, you know? About being able to perform what you're seeing right now, you know? I mean, although it can be very sloppy at times, I'd like to pretend sometimes that the level of play that we are experiencing right now is something that someone who is level 1 could also do with enough time. You know, Where was I? I kind of went off into a tangent. You know, with enough time, anyone should be skilled enough to do this. And I think I kind of lost it. I think I kind of lost my train of thought. And we just kind of went over here. Those guys have not been seen since Demon Souls. Those are the phalanxes. And they were black in the other game. Now they're fleshy. But stuff like that suffers. It really does. I mean, level design, until recently, has not been that big of a thing. Until you look at games like this game, for example, and you notice areas like New Londo and how poorly made they are, and then you see the games make the exact same mistake. In the other one, by the way, these guys will face tank you from the front. Just hit them from the back and save yourself the trouble. Areas like New Londo and Dark Souls feel very, very kind of rampant in Dark Souls 2, where they just fill areas full of enemies that you've either A, already seen before, or B, in such a high quantity that you don't want to fight them. You just kind of want to run away. And Hotline Miami, there's a lot of rooms like Hotline Miami 2, or Hot and Heavy. I mean, Hotline Miami 2 there's a lot of rooms in that game where you're almost scared to die. And here's the thing, 2 of the tips that the Hotline Miami 1 gave you were don't be afraid of dying, ironic, I think. Never got Guild of Irony. And recklessness is rewarded. You are rewarded for being patient in Hotline Miami 2, which just tarnishes the original idea of the game. And I don't know why they would do that. I really don't. And Dark Souls 2 is a little bit hard to talk about because there are some critiques that might just be me being really complaining about it. Hotline Miami 2 just seriously has some problems that me and other people have picked up on. You know? Hotline, and we're not even talking about... I've always liked this cutscene. I don't know why, but we haven't even gone to like the thick of Dark Souls 2, and it just comes from just some strange balances. How the game feels kinda not sluggish, but it feels looser. The controls don't feel as good in Dark Souls 2 as they do in Dark Souls 1. They don't feel as tight. And then there's hit detection, which is just utter bull. You should, in a game as fast-paced as Dark Souls can be at times, it's not... You should have, you know, hit detections that fit its suit, you know? If I roll with an adaptability of... What's the best adaptability to have? Like 20 or something? You know, it's close to the fast roll in this game, the roll I've been doing the entire playthrough. I don't expect to get hit, you know? Especially when I roll at the same time as one attack, and then I roll for the same attack and get hit. The Smelter Demon is a key example of this. And there's also these huge, like, areas of attack. Like, when the Smelter Demon, I hate that boss so much, if you haven't noticed. When the Smelter Demon essentially does his slam attack, you can get attacked when he slams down the floor with his blade. And you don't even have to be facing be near the blade. You'll still take damage, and you'll still slam down because the radius of that attack is huge, and there's no reason for it. And it's a shame too, because Dark Souls 2, I think it is a good game, but I also think that it could have been better than what we were given, and I think the exact same for Hotline Miami 2, especially more for Hotline Miami 2, because it had a lot to live up with. Or at least I think so. It had some serious hype, but then again, I guess I should learn my lesson about a lot of stuff like that. That hype kind of kills a lot of games. Who's this person?
Who art thou? One of us thou art not. If thou hast been stepped into this world, plunge down from the plank and hurry home. If thou seekest I, thine desires shall be requited not.
Right then.
This land is peaceful. I
think we've had enough of her. Whoever she might have been. Well, that was a strange oh god, they're back. But yeah, where was I? Yeah, Dark Souls 2 is just kind of hard to talk about. My, number one, I'm also out-practiced with that game, so I'm not, well, not out-practiced, but just I haven't played that game in a really long time, and I haven't played it since a couple patches, so they might have fixed some of my beefs with it. But the majority of my complaints with it still stand. It feels just in level design. I'm talking about more enemy placements now than just level design, because level design can get pretty creative in Dark Souls 2. The Crown of the Sunken King is an example. I mean, who would have thought to, you know, do that stuff with the bow, you know, shooting the square switches and causing the like the world to kind of just change. It's very, very smart. Just not up to. But then there's enemy placement that doesn't have the same heart. You know, enemy placement, like in those stupid like challenge things they'll throw at you in the DLCs, where their idea of challenge was to just throw stuff at you. You know, that isn't even very fun to fight. It's just bull after bull after bull. And all you get for it in the first DLC, you get ganked in the first DLC, you get a smelter demon, god no, and the second DLC, and then the third DLC, I think you just have to fight a bunch of horses. I can't remember, but there's apparently the stupid Arctic wasteland.
Halt! This is the tomb of the great Lord Gwyn. Tarnished it shall not be by the feet of men. If thou art a true disciple of the dark... What foolishness! Why trespasseth upon the great Lord's tomb, whilst thou art a disciple of the dark sun? Mark the words of mine self, Gwyndolin. Thou shalt not go unpunished.
Right then, now we have Gwendolyn. Gwendolyn is probably one of the easiest bosses in the game if you know how to dodge. He kind of just... He'll do that, and then he'll make this Soulstorm, I think it's called? I think that's the Dark Souls 2 thing it's called, but it does a lot of damage, but if you know how to move your legs, you should be able to dodge it quickly. Where was I? Okay. And we've been talking a little bit about Dark Souls 2, mainly because there's not enough to talk about on screen. To my knowledge, yet. I mean, there's other things. You can always find something to talk about. You know, as long as you're moving, as long as you're living your life, there's always something to talk about. It could be anything. It could be what you had last night for dinner. You know, it could be the snail on the side of your wall that you never expected to see. That ant when you were using the bathroom. There is so much stuff to talk about in life. And it's the beautiful thing about living, really, is it never really is the same. And when it is the same for too long, we try our hardest to change it, last time I checked. Not that I really know, but I think I like to pretend I know. You know? But, yeah, I think I've talked about Dark Souls 2, Hotline Miami 2. You know? But really, just... what it's really taught me to do is just kind of stop. Number one, it's taught me to stop pre-ordering games. I pre-ordered both Hotline 2 and Dark Souls 2, and I've been majorly disappointed with both. And with the only other game I've been thinking about pre-ordering is The Witcher 3. I love The Witcher 2. I didn't play 1. I want to play 1 when it goes on sale, because I don't... that combat's kind of strange, if you get me. But... also, you can hit Gwendolyn when he's kind of invisible for a little bit when he teleports forward. Kind of weird stuff, but I'm not sure I will, because with the current trend of how stuff's been happening in 2015 and 2014, I haven't seen one, like, super good game yet. Like, what have we had? Oh yeah, well, I'm talking about stuff I've played. I haven't played a single super decent game. You know, some, you know, interesting new IP, anything, really. There's not been a lot, but I think Gwendolyn's about to bite it.
swathed in dark, an eternal curse upon thee.
Right then, Gwendolyn did it. But where was I? Yeah, there's a couple games that came out this year though that I still think, or last year, that were pretty good. This has been recorded in 2015. I never intended it to take about a year to complete this entire thing, but hey, we'll be okay. But yeah, actually, I think I ran out of time. Well, see you guys. This is the outro. Yeah, sup, later.